Story 1. My father was a flooring contractor. He installed carpet only. He wanted me to do the same, and I did until 5 years ago. I learned to do other flooring trades. I do not only carpet but luxury vinyl plank, hardwood, and baseboards. This June will mark 20 years of being self-employed and running my own flooring company here in Northern California. I currently have 2 full-time employees. I am busy year-round and always working. My business is more successful than my father's ever was because I do more than just carpet. Story 2. He wanted me to work with my head, not my hands. He was a machinist in a steel mill. I am an attorney. Story 3. Follow in his footsteps and become a union carpenter. Then go to trade school but do not become a plumber. Then do what you want. I have been a mechanic for 15 years now. Story 4. As someone of Asian descent, my choices were doctor, lawyer, engineer, or accountant. I became none of those things. After finishing university, I started my own business. Story 5. He hoped I would get a good union job like he did so I would have a pension and job security. I have had a great career as an electrical and software engineer. He never understood what I did or why I was so well paid, but he was proud of me. Story 6. He wanted me to be happy and to know how to work hard. I can do the latter. It is still up for debate if I am happy. Story 7. Happy and healthy. I am generally happy. My wife is very attractive and my kids are amazing. But professionally, I have completely stagnated. I have been unemployed for over a year. I applied for 1,500 jobs and had maybe 10 interviews. As far as health goes, there is a lot I could do, but I lack motivation. My professional situation is really taking its toll. Constant rejection is tough, but not having anything to do all day and being consistently broke just trying to stay afloat is very draining. I can only clean my house so many times a week. I have no purpose. My current purpose is being a dad, and I love it. It is very fulfilling, but my plate is fairly empty. I could be doing much more, and I know my dad practically expects that of me. Story 8. No idea other than a punching bag. Taught me nothing. I became a better man than he ever was. Much poorer, but I broke his cycle. Story 9. My dad wanted me to be a lawyer. I lived in Texas with my mom after they split when I was about 3 years old. He said if I moved to Los Angeles, he would get me a place to live and pay my expenses and tuition if I pursued a law degree. He also said if I stayed in Texas or did not pursue law, I was on my own. I stayed in Texas and majored in computer science. I recently retired after more than 40 years in technology. Karmically, shortly after I started college, my dad got involved in what was then the longest criminal trial in California history. His involvement as a defendant was relatively minor, but over the 3 years of the trial, he had to have his lawyer in court representing his interests. When the proceedings finally addressed his specific involvement, his lawyer used the previous proceedings to move to drop the charges against my dad, and the judge granted the motion. After that, my dad stopped pressuring me to be a lawyer and became very anti-lawyer. Story 10. He did not want me to be a lawyer, which he is. Neither parent had plans for what they wanted me to be. I kind of did my own thing. Very lucky. I studied history in college and earned my Bachelor of Arts and Master of Arts degrees. I fell into post-Katrina logistics with American Community Service, dropped out of law school, served as a naval officer for 10 years, left and earned my Master of Business Administration, and now I work in the oil and gas industry. Kind of a windy path, but it worked out. I own my house, have a few sports cars, and a couple of dogs. Life is good. Story 11. What did your father want you to be? No idea. It was not something we ever talked about. I mean, we never had anything resembling a conversation about anything. He was a horrible person, and if I had ever learned what he wanted me to be, I would have striven with everything I had to be the opposite and disappoint him. Story 12. He wanted me to get a good, well-paying job so he could siphon money from me. I was groomed from a young age to cater to his needs and give him everything he wanted. The joke's on him. I ended up disowning him for abuse and changed my last name. Story 13. Nothing. He just wanted me to live better than he did, which I believe I am so far. He was also an alcoholic. Story 14. It was not so much what he wanted me to do as what he wanted me not to do. For example, do not make my mistakes or the mistakes of other family members. Story 15, career-wise, he didn't really care. I think he wanted me to be independent, have a career, and a loving family. That's what I have, so I think he's happy with me. Story 16. Apparently, he wanted me to be a doctor, but he never cared to let me know, much less motivate or push me to become one. He never mentioned it until a fight where he said it to me like venom. I am a musician and I own my own business. I am happy with it, while he calls everything I do not a real job. Coming from a deadbeat man who has not worked in 30 years. Story 17. Wanted me to be a writer for Saturday Night Live or National Lampoon. I wrote on a situation comedy for a season, but it is not my career now. Story 18. No idea. He died when I was 13 after he battled cancer for 7 years, so he had other things taking his attention, I imagine. Probably something in education, as he was a college professor. He was also the kind of person who wanted me to find what I wanted to do, not what other people thought I should do. Story 19. My father did not have specific goals for me. He was happy enough that I could take care of myself and not rely on others for support. It did not matter if I bagged groceries or was a doctor. He was a simple person overall. Story 20. My father never really believed in me. As a kid, I was obsessed with computers. I told him I wanted to become a programmer. He laughed and said I would never make money typing on a keyboard. At the same time, I started boxing. He told me I was too soft, not tough enough. He never showed up to a single match. Years passed. Now I am a 7-time regional boxing champion and a mid-level software developer working for a European technology company. 2 dreams. Both real. He still does not say much, but I stopped needing his validation a long time ago. Story 21. My father wanted me to be out of the house and out of his wallet. I ended up making 5 times what he ever did. Story 22. I don't think he had a specific vision, just that he wanted me in some high-paying white-collar job. At one point, he was trying to convince me to be an accountant, but I think he just wanted something from me. What I turned out to be was a burnt-out failure working a dead-end data entry job on the edge of homelessness. I'd say he would probably be angry or disappointed, but I have a feeling he had written me off years before he passed. Story 23. I do not know executive leadership entrepreneur. He cannot see that I do not and will not because of the instability that was produced in our lives when he did those things as I grew up. I want my child to have roots, friends, and a life she desires. I had none of that. Story 24. He wanted me to be successful in school and go to college. Then he wanted me to get a good job and live a life of ease. Instead, I finished high school and joined my family doing concrete work. Story 25. I don't know. I never felt like he wanted me to succeed in anything. Yet somehow I still became a disappointment. Story 26. I do not know what he wanted me to become. I think the unreasonable expectations his father put on him, followed by the disappointment and abuse when he did not live up to those expectations, made him very reserved in setting any on me. So I became a husband, a father, and a master chief. He was very proud of me. He died knowing we broke an abusive cycle. Miss you, Dad. We did all right. Story 27. I did not know him. I did not know what he wanted me to be. I did not know what I wanted to be. I still do not. Story 28. A doctor or someone else making a large salary, so I did not have to struggle like he did. That dream never materialized, but I am at least comfortably middle class. I wish I made more so I could realistically look forward to a life where I could eventually retire, but I am still better off than most, so I cannot complain. Story 29. Straight into sports with kids, likely not the first or the second, and probably will not have the third. Story 30. My dad wanted me to join the United States Navy like him as a way to pay for college through the government issue bill. I applied to the United States Naval Academy with references from the governor, a senator, and a representative from my state. I was accepted, but I also used those same references to apply to all 8 Ivy League schools, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, University of California, Berkeley, and several other top colleges. I was accepted to several schools with scholarships, so I took the one with the best scholarship. My dad was very disappointed because it was not free and it was not the Navy as we had discussed. He was very clear that he was not going to help me pay for school, so I worked my way through, not always with the most legitimate employment, but I paid my own way and graduated. I did not graduate with honors, but I made contacts in college that directly led to my success. I highly doubt I would have made 1% of what I have if I had joined the Navy. Story 31. My dad encouraged me to be a uniformed officer, like in the police or the army. Fortunately for me, I am too short, colorblind, and nearsighted to be qualified for that line of work. I am an engineer. Story 32. Dad wanted me to be an engineer. I just got accepted into graduate school for clinical mental health counseling. Story 33. Honestly, I think I did about what he hoped for. He was a firefighter who valued duty and family. I work professionally in technology, but I volunteer in first response and am raising a family. It may not look like what he imagines a family to be, but I think it is close enough. Story 34. What he wanted. A successful career, married, with children, and attends church. What I am. A successful career, married, with one child, and attend church. Story 35. My dad always wanted me to be a good person, have empathy for others, and always try to improve myself. Sadly, he died when I was 16. I am 51 years old now. I am that person now. Good job, Dad. Miss you. Story 36. My parents told me I could be anything I wanted, but they did not provide an environment in which I could thrive. Story 37. I was circumcised, but I wanted my foreskin, so I restored it. Now I am uncircumcised in the truest meaning of the word. Story 38. Southern Baptist preacher like him versus anti-Christian, no contact with parents, and an industrial electrician. Story 39. Honestly, I think he wanted me to be a reckless fool like he was, but I did not have 3 children before the age of 21, never went to jail, and I enjoy reading, so he is a bit perplexed by me. Story 40. They wanted him to be a new successful millionaire with thousands of careers, athletic, handsome, strong, social, and married at 20. The result is a tall, pretty 19-year-old boy because of genetics. He has played thousands of games, watched thousands of anime and manga, is a fan of Formula One and World Endurance Championship, a sim racing player, a robotics student out of boredom, and a future racing engineer. They are still bothered by all this because he is still a virgin. Story 41. Hardworking and a man of the house when he can be. My brother, on the other hand, I only see when he eats or uses the bathroom. He is 25 years old and plays video games or works on graphics for games. He has a couple of items from Team Fortress 2 that earn him royalties. Story 42. He never wanted me to do anything particular, but I chose the same field. I think he is proud of me so far. His wife has told me this, but he would never say it. Story 43. When I dropped out of desktop personal computer repair college in 2004, he kindly said, "You should try electrical or plumbing. They do pretty well." I chose electrical and well, 20 years later, here I am. Had I known plumbing would be all crimped Lego tubes and more money, I would have done that. Next life, next life. Story 44. My father still urges me to work for the Postal Service because it is steady work. I have 2 degrees from a top 10 university and was a college professor for 15 years. I currently have a steady, fulfilling job. Story 45. Originally, he wanted me to study law or business administration. I studied journalism instead. Needless to say, he was not happy, but he has supported me in everything I have done, including music. I have been a musician since I was 15, and I am finishing veterinary school. All he says is that he wants me to be happy. The only thing he worries about is whether I will be able to support myself. Love you, Dad. Story 46. My dad just wanted me to go to college, so I did not have to sacrifice my body for my well-being. I thank God every day that he did. Story 47. He wanted me to be a ball player, but after realizing how competitive it is to get into professional sports and seeing how unathletic I was while growing up, I focused my attention on finding a long-term career in city government. I have a Master of Public Administration degree and work as a United States Postal Service mail handler, which I am treating as a resume builder since I have little work experience. However, I need to take the next step. Story 48. Dad wanted me to be whatever I wanted. He did not want to restrict me. At 34, I still do not know what I want to be. I am doing fine figuring it out, but a little bit of help early on would have been nice. Story 49. He wanted me to become anything other than what he did, which was a construction superintendent. I became a construction superintendent. He tried hard, pushed us for college, and helped us as best he could financially, though we never had a lot of money. I did get a degree in biology, but I had to work construction the whole way through to help pay for it. I couldn't afford the pay cut in the beginning to pursue the degree-related jobs, so I stayed working construction after school. I got really good at it and climbed the ladder. Now, at 40, I am one of the top foremen and superintendents in a very good concrete repair company. Same for my brother. Construction management just comes naturally to us, I guess. Luckily, I happen to love my job and found a perfect niche in a medium-sized company that keeps me closer to 40 hours a week and low stress. Unlike my dad and brother who ended up in the giant corporate sector insanity. I know I could make more if I went big time or transitioned into a degree-related job, but the fact that I generally look forward to work every day seems invaluable. Being the big fish in a little pond feels pretty good, too. Story 50. Both of my parents pushed me to become a teacher. I ended up working in technology. Thank God for it, judging by the abysmal state of the higher education teaching market. No one is getting hired for anything other than adjunct jobs with low pay and no security. At least in technology, I can have good pay with no security. Story 51. He probably would have liked it if I had gone into something related to technical design. He always worked for companies that designed and built medical equipment, including magnetic resonance imaging machines in the 1980s. However, he never specifically pushed me towards any particular field. I did not really have an idea of what I wanted to do until high school, when I developed a strong interest in filmmaking and decided to pursue it in college. Story 52. He has never had any expectations for his children and has always told me to work hard, take care of my responsibilities, and choose my friends wisely. Story 53. He left us before I was ready to have that conversation. I am now a computer science professional looking for work. Story 54. My dad was always very laid back in this department and told me to be whatever I wanted to be as long as I made the best of it. He went through school and college with the expectation from his father that he would have a career in pharmacy until he finally asserted himself and stated that it would not be the direction he was taking. Story 55. He never expressed a thought as to what I should be. Maybe if he had, I would not have turned out to be a lawyer. Story 56. I did not really grow up like that. My parents always said, "We want you to be better than us when you grow up," and left it at that. My mother died when I was still a teenager, so she never got to see how I turned out, but I know that my father was proud of me. I know he was not too keen on my hitch in the army, but that was more because he did not want anything bad to happen to me, and there was a war on. Other than that, as I said, I know he was proud of me. Story 57. My father, a plumber, wanted me to work in an air-conditioned office and sit in a cubicle. He got lucky because I accidentally found a love for information technology work. Now I work on servers and computers all day in a rather cold cubicle. Story 58. Despite being an Indian immigrant and largely living around other Indian immigrants who put immense pressure on their children to be an engineer, doctor, or lawyer, my dad never did that to me. He had 3 goals. 1. Know my values and live them with integrity. Be independent, financially, socially, intellectually. Figure out what happiness means to me and live that kind of life. I have done that. I have a clear idea of my core values, and while individual opinions may change as I learn new facts, the ideals have remained the same. I am financially, socially, and intellectually independent. I have worked hard to not let societal expectations crush who I want to be and never feel too much pressure to be intellectually homogeneous. Finally, I know what happiness is to me. It is living a life of freedom where I am in control. I am committed to working as little as humanly possible without being someone who is financially independent. Retire early. I get to focus on what I want: my family, my community, and my health. Story 59. My father encouraged me to go to law school, and I did. I graduated and passed the bar, but was never really the kind of person who would be a good lawyer. I did at least okay as a statistician, though. Story 60. My father never wanted me to be anything other than what I wanted to be. He suggested various options for choosing a life and career path, but he never expected me to do what he wanted. In some ways, this was both good and bad, given how things have turned out. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.